Imagine a world where your brain sorts every sound, every texture, and every piece of data with an intensity you can barely control. This isn't just about autism as a label. It's about diving into the incredible, sometimes overwhelming, and profoundly unique experience of how an autistic brain processes information. You might just see yourself or someone you know in a brand new light. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Michelle and I'm an autistic woman raising 3 autistic kids with my ADHD husband. And as always, before we get started, if I could please ask you to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell. It really does help the channel and our community grow. I might be a bit sporadic with my posting just for the next few weeks because we have been looking for a new place and we finally found one and we'll be moving in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I will film videos when I get the chance, but I still love doing this. It's just that there's a lot going on at the moment, so I will do videos when I can. All right, so let's talk about the autistic lens because this one is one of the most misunderstood parts of autism. And I think once you get it, so much about autistic behavior, communication, overwhelm, and even strengths suddenly makes perfect sense. Seeing the world through the autistic lens. So here's the thing about autistic processing. It's not slow and it's definitely not simple. If anything, it's incredibly complex, just in a really different way compared to neurotypical processing. While neurotypical brains filter things out automatically, autistic brains tend to take everything in and then try to sort it out. And sometimes that sorting process is fast and razor sharp, and other times it's like your brain is buffering. I guess you could call it the fast but slow paradox, because we can instantly spot a pattern or a mistake or a consistency. But then someone asks, hey, how are you? And our brains go, processing, please wait. It's not confusion, it's depth. We don't skim, we dive. Sensory input, where the world hits us first. The first layer of autistic processing is sensory. Before we even think, we feel loudly. And this is where sensory processing disorder comes in. Now, not every autistic person has SPD, and not everyone with SPD is autistic, but there is such a strong overlap that they can often intertwine. The easiest way to explain it is that our senses don't always follow the neurotypical normal rules. Some things hit way too intensely, other things barely register, and sometimes it changes minute to minute. I guess you could say it's like every sense in your body has its own little volume knob, and none of the knobs match. One's on mute, one's blasting, one's crackling, and you don't get to choose which is which. This unevenness is what creates sensory overwhelm. If too many volume knobs are turned up at the same time, your whole system crashes. Shutdowns happen, meltdowns happen, or your brain just quietly says, nope, and it stops. It's not about being dramatic, it's neurological. Over time, autistic people basically build our own little sensory toolkits. Things like headphones, sunglasses, soft clothes, avoiding fluorescent lights, picking quieter shopping times. And none of that is weird. It's accessibility and it's survival. Monotropism, the one-channel mind. Now I want to bring in something that ties everything together. Monotropism. This is basically the idea that autistic brains tend to run on a single channel. When we focus on something, we're in it. We're fully absorbed, deeply engaged, and trying to switch to something else feels like ripping Velcro off your brain. This explains hyperfocus, why interruptions feel painful, and why transitions are hard, and why we freeze when we're asked to suddenly switch tasks, and why we can forget to eat or drink for hours. It's not stubbornness, it's how our attention system works. Once you understand monotropism, autistic life suddenly becomes way more understandable. I have a full video on this if you want to check it out after this video. How we process and analyze information. Moving past the sensory stuff, the next layer is how we think about information. Autistic processing is incredibly detail-oriented. We notice things people skip over, tiny inconsistencies, changes in tone, background patterns, the way someone said a sentence differently today compared to yesterday. And because we take in so many details, we often analyze deeply. This is why so many autistic people are brilliant at creative work, analytical thinking, research, art, coding, and anything requiring precision. But here's the flip side. Because our processing runs deep, executive function can take a hit. Planning, switching tasks, remembering steps, adjusting to sudden changes. Well, these things demand a different kind of cognitive energy, and we're often already using most of that energy just dealing with sensory input, social expectations, and patterns our brain is subconsciously tracking. This is where processing speed variability shows up. We can be lightning fast with complex ideas and then completely frozen by a simple decision like, what do you want for dinner? It's not inconsistency, it's load balancing. A brain managing a lot will naturally slow down in certain areas. How we process social information. Now, social processing is a whole topic on its own. A lot of autistic people actually do read social cues. We just read them on a delay. It's like in the moment you're too busy processing the noise, the lights, the conversation, the emotional tone, the body language, and what someone just said. So the social meaning clicks into place after the conversation ends. I guess you can describe it like this. We don't always miss social cues, we just process them later once the noise clears. Literal thinking also ties into this. We tend to interpret words as they're spoken because it's clearer, safer, and more efficient. Hints and subtle suggestions feel like trying to read a book through a fog. And because we process social information differently, we're often very direct, honest, and straightforward. Not because we don't care, but because clarity is easier for everyone. The brain fog moments no one talks about. Another part people don't always see is the all or nothing nature of autistic cognition. Some days, everything flows. You're clear, you're articulate, you're focused, you're functioning at your absolute peak. And then there's other days. The brain just shuts down. Words disappear, thinking hurts, decisions feel impossible. Everything is just too much. This is usually connected to sensory overload, stress, or low energy. And this is why autistic burnout hits so intensely. Our processing takes a lot of energy, even when we appear calm on the outside. Context blindness, why situational rules can be confusing. Something else that ties into information processing is the difficulty many autistic people have with generalizing information across different situations. For example, we might learn how something works at one workplace, but then not automatically transfer that knowledge to a new workplace. Or we might understand sarcasm from one person, but not from someone new. We process life in specifics, not assumptions. And once you explain something clearly, we get it, but we don't automatically apply it everywhere because the context changes the meaning. This is also part of why routines are comforting. Familiar context equals predictable processing. How we prioritize information and why it's different. Autistic brains tend to prioritize sensory and detailed information before social information. So while neurotypical people instantly read the social scene, we're busy noticing the flicker in the lights, the hum of the air conditioner, the exact words being used, the temperature of the room, the discomfort in the clothing, and the emotional tone, but not the intention. It's not that we don't care about what someone is feeling, it's that our brain automatically logs sensory and factual information first. Social meaning comes after. Embracing neurodiversity. With all these layers, sensory, cognitive, social, emotional, autistic processing becomes incredibly rich, complex, and capable. It's not a weakness, it's a different operating system. And that different way of thinking comes with so many strengths: innovative ideas, deep passion, honesty, creativity, pattern recognition, a refusal to follow broken rules, a unique, refreshing perspective that the world desperately needs. But for those strengths to show up, society has to be more flexible. We need clearer communication, sensory-friendly environments, patience, and a willingness to accept that not everyone thinks the same. Inclusion doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be intentional. I think the world would be a stronger, kinder, and more imaginative place if we made space for different brains instead of trying to squeeze everyone into one normal box. If you heard yourself in any of this or someone you love, please let me know. I love hearing your experiences because they genuinely help other autistic people feel seen and understood. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does support the channel and it helps spread awareness in a way that actually feels human. I'll see you in the next one.